just at the right time. We're going to start in the next 3 minutes. So currently we have.
I can't hear you. I can't hear you.
Oh, welcome, Prof.
Okay.
Welcome, sir. So we are going to start at the right time in the next 3 minutes at exactly 3 p.m. So currently we have about 30 people on this Zoom call. We have some people also on live YouTube that will be joining. We are envisaging to have in total about 100 people. So welcome, sir. Just wait for 3 more minutes and we'll start at the right time. So I'm not the moderator for today. We have Dr. Kolawole, who is the head of the department for biochemistry in Adeleke University, who will be moderating today. So when it is time, 3 o'clock, he will be starting the program. Welcome, sir.
Thank you, Segun. Hello, Segun. I'm trying to share my screen so that that will not take time from me.
Okay, I think we're going to, yeah, you can share your screen now. I'm going to make you a co-host.
Unless we stop that, what?
Yes, Prof can share. Yeah, Prof can share your screen now.
I can go ahead.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Can you see my screen?
Yes, Prof, you can see your screen.
Yes.
So you can change it to the full mode.
Okay.
Okay, so it's exactly 3 p.m. now. I'm going to be handing over to Dr. Kolawole to start. Yeah, just before then, everyone on the call, can you just keep on typing your name on the chat, the city where you are joining from, and the country where you are joining from today, so that we can know you. When it's time for asking questions, the moderator will be able to call you by name. Just put your name, your city where you are joining, and the state and the country where you are joining from today. So now I'm going to hand over to Dr. Kolawole to start.
Yeah, good afternoon, everyone. We are very grateful for God giving us the grace to have a program like this. And this is the first of its kind by Nigerian Bioinformatics and Genomic Network. And we thank God for giving us that grace. And I'm still saying a big thank you to the eminent and respected professor, in person of Professor Salako, who is currently the Director General of Nigeria Institute of Medical Research, for honoring our invitation. And before we commence anything, we need to know much about the Nigerian Bioinformatics and Genomic Network. And I want to thank everyone that have already joined this webinar, that really appreciates you joining. And I believe that before this webinar comes to an end, all of us will have learned one or two things or the other. And we're going to see how we can build a successful bioinformatics academic career. And this is a very thing that is very necessary in such an era like this, that we have a COVID-19 pandemic. And bioinformatics as a tool has been very, very useful and has helped to resolve this pandemic. Now, before anything, I will call on Professor Segun Fatima to give us a brief information, details about Nigerian Bioinformatics and Genomic Network, and is currently the president of Nigerian Bioinformatics and Genomic Network. He has more than 2,000 members in the network. You are welcome on board, sir.
Oh, thank you, Dr. Kolawole. Just very brief, maybe like 1 or 2 minutes. So I want to welcome everybody once again to this webinar. My name is Segun Fatumo, and I'm the president of the Nigerian Bioinformatics and Genomic Network. Maybe already you are a member of the network. If you are not, this is an opportunity for you to join. So currently we have about 2,000 people on that are member of the Nigerian Bioinformatics and Genomic Network. So the purpose of the network is just to bring people together, people that are doing anything that are related to biotechnology, bioinformatics, genomics, biochemistry, life science, and all that. So we try to work with so many society in Nigeria. Maybe you are aware that last year we organized the very first Nigerian Bioinformatics Conference. That was in Lagos. That was at the Nigerian Institute of Medical Research. And just to also inform that next year, by the grace of God, around June next year, we will be organizing the next conference, which will be focusing on biotechnology, bioinformatics, and genomics. And the conference will be in Abuja at the National Biotechnology Development Agency, that's NABDA, around June. Like what we did last year, we are also hoping that we'll be able to get a lot of funding to bring many people, many students to Abuja for the conference. So just look out for that when we'll be having that conference. So for you to get more information, join the network, join us on Facebook and as well as on Twitter, where we share many information. So I'm now going to hand over back to Dr. Kolawole to again welcome our guest speaker for today, Professor Salako, so that we can start for the most important thing today. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you again, Professor Segun Fatima, for that wonderful introduction and detailed information about Nigerian Bioinformatics and Genomic Network. And now, I just want to give us a brief background details about the eminent professor, a respected man who has played a significant role in this pandemic. And a lot of things have been done through him at the NIMA, Nigerian Institute of Medical Research. If you have conversant with them, you can see one of his staff that did launch a diagnostic kit that could be used to diagnose COVID-19. Kudos to Prof. Now, Professor Babatunde Salako was born in 23rd of July 1959 to Alhaji and Alhaja Ibrahim Lawa Salako of Okimbu Quarters, Ogun State. From there, he attended Asarudin Primary School, Ota, between 1968 and 1973. And he proceeded more of that until he got admission. And I joined University College Hospital in Ibadan in April 1990 for his residency training in the Department of Medicine, where he obtained the fellowship of West African College of Physicians within 4.5 years in October 1994. He has won a number of local and international fellowship research grants, including the World Heart Foundation Fellowship in year 2000. And he has been able to be a co-principal investigator on the National Health Grant on genetics of hypertension in Blacks, recruitment of hypertension cases for genome-wide assessment study in collaboration with the Department of Preventive Medicine and Epidemiology, Loyola University, Chicago, USA. Also, PI on genetic influences of severity of sickle cell anemia in the Yoruba. Is the site principal investigator in the Human Hereditary in Earth Grant or Kidney Disease Research Work in collaboration with the University of Ghana and University of Michigan, US. Professor Salako is a co-investigator in another NIH grant titled Tailored Hospital-Based Risk Reduction to Impede Vascular Events After Stroke. He has a lot of community efforts. He has been rewarded with a lot of awards by several bodies and associations, which I cannot be mentioned and talk. As a distinguished professor and faculty of University of Ibadan, he has served the College of Medicine, University of Ibadan, in a number of capacities, of some which include the chairman of Faculty of Clinical Science of Committee on UIC 68th Anniversary Member, University Committee of UIC Anniversary Member, Hall Master Alexandra Brand Hall, Assistant Editor-in-Chief of African Journal of Medicine and Medical Sciences, Head of the Department of Medicine, College of Medicine, University of Ibadan. Professor Salako is a member of many professional associations, including the Nigerian Medical Association, Fellow of West African College of Physicians, Fellow Royal College of Physicians of Edinburgh, United Kingdom, Nigerian Association of Nephrology, Nigerian Society of Hypertension, Fellow of the World Heart Federation, member Global Forum of Health Research, Geneva, International Society of Nephrology, and he was appointed editor of the Tropical Journal of Nephrology, the official journal of the Nigerian Association of Nephrology, 2005-2015. He has still indeed a scientist and a researcher and a clinician to the core. Professor Salako is a clinician of high repute and has been involved in a number of clinical trials on drug development. And I want to tell you that Professor Salako has attended several local and international conferences and workshops and is widely traveled. He is married to Mrs. Sadiat Abiola Abiodun Salako. They are blessed with 3 children, Ibrahim Abiodun and Yetunde alongside Idris. He enjoys music, traveling, driving, reading, and listening to Holy Quran. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you Professor Salako, MBB Ibadan, FWACP, FRCP Edinburgh, FRC Nigeria, and currently the Director General of Nigerian Institute of Medical Research for his presentation. You are welcome, sir.
Thank you very much, Olawole, for those nice comments about me. Let me start my talk first by saying that I started as a clinician. So, and from my research and collaboration, I became a little familiar with the field of genomics. So I am not a core bioinformatician. Shegun is trying to make me one. And so if you ask me core bioinformatics question, I will ask Shegun to answer. What I am trying to do is to talk to you about how best you can be a successful academician, regardless of whether it's in bioinformatics or in any field of medicine at all. But since this is a group of bioinformaticians or people who are interested in bioinformatics, we have to bring that in so that we can see how this is related to the topic in question. So I'm going to tell you what I'm supposed to tell you in these slides. I'll tell you about the African profile and African health indices, because this is the area that will guide the type of research that we need to do. And of course, the use of bioinformatics and genomics to solve some of the health challenges that Africa currently carries its burden. I will talk about research capacity in Africa and specifically in Nigeria, then talk about bioinformatics career paths, funding research in Africa, Nigeria, and then I'll go to tips for successful bioinformatics academic career, which may also be applicable generally to any academician who is listening to this lecture. And lastly, I'll seize the opportunity to show you a bit of what we have done in NIMA as a translation of research. Now, Africa has been seen as a continent of disease. And I still think the thinking of the West is still like that. One, because we have 24% of the world's disease burden. We are about 17% of the world's population. Yet we are only able to produce 2% of world research. There are conflicts between countries, within countries. And so you can actually see that Africa really is a fertile ground for research that will move us forward to solve the health challenges that we have. And Nigeria being a typical African country, Nigeria can actually serve as an example. Now, this is the maternal mortality by WHO regions for Africa. And you see that between 1990 and 2013, though it was getting better, coming down, this is probably in relation to the effort of the Millennium Development Goal, which ended in 2015. So we are not doing badly. It's just that even as we were coming down, we remain the worst of all the WHO regions in terms of maternal mortality. And of course, the under 5 mortality rate, 1990 and 2012, the story is the same. Africa has the worst of the under 5 mortality. So we really have poor indices that requires us to be involved in research. And the projection on non-communicable disease by 2030 is also that these diseases will be getting worse, will be killing a lot more of Africa. So it's not just infection that is our problem. We now have what they describe as double burden of disease. And it is believed that the NCDC the non-communicable disease may be matching up to communicable disease in the next few years in terms of the number of deaths that can occur. So as we are making and planning research and asking necessary questions in communicable diseases, we must, as a matter of urgency, start to think about non-communicable disease so that we do not come from one problem only to move into another. So this therefore leads me to what is the research situation with Africa. And I'm going to start with this Lancet Global editorial, which was written by Justin Davey of May 2016. And he has asked a question, research capacity in Africa, will the sun rise again? He did say that we know that there is a little research capacity within Africa and that there is a shortage of faculty and research leaders, inadequate facilities and infrastructure. And then we have a few career opportunities for budding researchers. However, what seems to be changing is that there is now widespread acknowledgement that African researchers are best placed to ask questions that are relevant to African issues. That is true. Also, that there is now a slow move away from importing research questions from high-income countries to address Africa's problem. That is also beginning to happen. But how can we do this if we don't have local research capacity? This is why the topic that you have asked me to talk about is relevant at this stage, and that will provide opportunity for young people to be able to know how well they can navigate through their research career and then make a success of it. Now, this is global research productivity. And you could see that the darker the color, the better research productivity or the better researchers per million population. And you can see the area where Africa is almost completely white. we need to do more. We need to train more to increase the number of researchers and therefore research capacity in Africa. Now, if you come to Africa itself, looking at some countries in Africa, you could see that South Africa and Nigeria, appears to be the leaders. When you look at absolute numbers in terms of researchers, and when you look at these against population, then Nigeria seems not to be doing as well as we have seen looking at absolute number. There are other smaller countries that appears to be doing well in terms of researchers per million population. So Nigeria needs to train more researchers. We need to support the training of PhDs and MDs, people who will be future research scientists for our country. Again, if you look at African research productivity, you see Nigeria here producing about 3,952 articles in a Nature journal published in 2011. I'm not too sure the situations have changed, because it's South Africa that has the highest number at about 8,805 articles published. So both of them seem to be leading in terms of research capacity in Africa. But if you then move on to look at, I'm trying to change my slide. I hope somebody is not holding it. Okay, great. Now, to look specifically at Nigerian research issue, what are those gaps that we need to look at very, very closely? We should be able to ask the right research question. Now, Nigeria has research agenda or research priorities, which is not well disseminated. That may make people not to be able to know in which direction they should be asking their research question. However, for researchers, there has to be a purposeful research question aimed at solving a particular problem. And in Africa, we do have a lot of that. So we should stop conducting research that will be of no positive impact to our health situation. A lot of the time is descriptive research that people do, and they do this only for promotion. And once people get promotion, they stop doing research. Now, the few people who have done something very significant have not gone beyond just publishing it. No patents, no effort to take it from bench to bedside. So these are some of the issues we must pay attention to. We need to develop our ethics. Luckily, human participants ethics has been well developed in many of African universities, except for when we talk about ethics of use of animal experiment. This is something that is not common yet, an area we should develop. And as we are issue of big data, and of course, genomics and bioinformatics that are producing large data, and we are collecting samples here and there, which can be kept for future secondary research analysis. We then need to look at biorepository. This is something that is not quite available within Africa, except for a few institutions who have 1 or 2 or 3 -80 research freezers that they can store home samples. We need to get private organizations to assist and fund research in Africa. African governments have not been able to fund research adequately. The current COVID-19 pandemic has actually shown There are private foundations and companies can assist in funding research in Africa, judging from the amount of money we have seen them donated to government recently. We need new skills. And under these new skills, we talk about ICT, statistics, all of these, including the knowledge of chemistry and biology that has brought the new field of bioinformatics, which has assisted in analyzing genomics data to come up with a very positive outcome for research globally. So bioinformatics applies to computational technology to handle the rapidly growing repository of information, especially in the field of genomics and molecular biology. Of course, at different levels, it could be taught at undergraduate, as a degree in bioinformatics and computational biology, or master's level. But I think much more than that in the area of research and academic career that we are talking about is PhD level. So one needed to have a solid background in both biology and computer science to be able to be very successful in being a bioinformatician. Now, some of these work areas as a bioinformatician, now many private labs these days gather samples and data, and they just employ some individual who have experience, some experience as bioinformatician to work on some of this data. So one could work as an individual contributor in that regard. Now, there are some institutions who have very robust laboratories, and they, on their own, go to the field. They have research funds, and they have research questions that they are trying to ask in the area of genomics and require the services of a bioinformatician. This is another work area that a bioinformatician can work. Now, when you talk about bioinformatics education, really, there is a lot of demand now because of the kind of research that we do currently. However, a PhD level, which can be pursued for someone who is interested in an academic career, who wants to lecture in the university. Beyond that, it could just be a software developer, which need to develop tools that other people can use, other bioinformaticians can use in developing or analyzing data within some of the laboratories, the big laboratories that we have. Now, the common categories of skills that is required. Some could just be simple bioinformatic users. I mean, using data that is available, and they are trying to produce something from that so that you can work from bench to bedside. That is one way. The other way is being a bioinformatics scientist, biologist, who employs computational methods in order to advance the scientific understanding of what we're doing. And then you have bioinformatics engineer. All they do is create novel computational methods that bioinformatician users and scientists can use. So these are the various opportunities that exist for someone who is interested in bioinformatics. But much more importantly is with a PhD who works within the university and then can design research questions, learn how to put proposals together, seek for funds, and then, of course, work with others to produce results that may be useful from bench to bedside. Now, the minimum degree for such people will be a master's degree. More importantly, will be a PhD, because for you to move within the academic career, you need to have a PhD to move on to become a professor. But if you are talking about job, then if you have a PhD, it could just be the tiebreaker that will make you more qualified than others. Now, having said that, as a bioinformatics academician, you need funding to be able to make progress. And if you look at Africa generally, we have less than 10% of the world resources, almost on a yearly basis, available to us to attend to our research questions. Yet, we have over 90% of all preventable deaths that is happening. This has been described as 10 by 90 gap. Whether this can be corrected can only be determined by the perception of African leaders and government to the importance of research. Research and development go together. And once the research is not funded, then development, as you see in Africa, will remain the way it is. Now, this is an interactive map which has been created by NIH of about 9 to 10 funders that actually shows funding opportunities that have been won by African researchers, I think between 2012 and 2016. So you could see the distribution of some of the grants that have been won, a lot more to the East African and South African side, as opposed to what we see in the West African sub-region. Okay, this is for sub-Saharan Africa. Now, when you now look at the type of grant that we have, is more of collaborative grant. Yes, we are preaching that we should work in a collaborative fashion. But what has been happening is that researchers from high-income countries seem to be the one dictating the pace and determining the research questions, even though some of these may not directly be useful to the African country research challenges. So we need to be able to win more direct funding. Again, African government just necessarily have to put fund directly to solve African problem. But this shows that we are indeed working with others, and we have opportunities of growing and winning direct funding from some of these agents. What do we need to do better? I think we need to have a sister institution, either locally, if it's doing better than our own, or globally, or internationally, if you like, where our institution can learn from, can do staff exchange, and young researchers from such institutions can pick up skills and come back home. So we need help from them. We need their support. Areas that are new to us that we don't know, we need advice and we need guidance. For future researchers to be produced, all of this may be necessary. More importantly, we need mentorship. This is something growing in Africa now. Before, there are serious issues with mentorship. The mentors want to mentor a mentee. The mentee is not ready, or the mentee is not happy with the kind of mentoring he's getting. I think attention is beginning to be placed on mentor-mentee relationship, and it has come up in quite a number of discussions, in presentations, and the situation is improving. So we might have individual mentor-mentee relationship, or we might have institutional mentor-mentee relationship. That is the only way we can make progress, because the mentor has passed through that stage before, so he knows the terrain, and he can only assist the mentee to move through that terrain and see the world better than the mentor. What else do we need? We need effective research prerequisite, individual skills. I spoke to us about the fact that, yes, we have research capacity, but we don't have enough. We need individual skills. We need to be able to put grants together. We need to be able to write manuscripts. These are areas where we must develop those who are coming behind if they are going to get funding to be able to do their research vision and be able to contribute to science at all. Again, government of African countries needed to make funding available. If you are asking for funding from funders, you need to be familiar with the funders' vision so that when you are putting your ideas together, it resonates with what the funder is interested in. We need appropriate infrastructure. That can only come from our government. So we need advocacy to decision makers, to policy makers, to be able to tell them what we need and what they stand to gain. I think we much more than that, we need to talk to them about our experience of economic model of the report result of our researcher. It is not enough for us to say we reduce debt by 50%. We must be able to translate that to Naira and Kobo in terms of either what government is saving or what government will be gaining. This is the language that the politicians and the decision makers understand. And so we must go beyond ordinary figures and graphs and ensure that we provide them with briefs that are easy to understand, that can make them buy into our ideas. As an academician, you need to have what they call soft skills. Now, the hard skills are skills that are teachable within the university. We all have such skills, but nobody teaches soft skills. Attributes like personal qualities, interpersonal skills, communication, creativity, problem-solving ability, integrity, openness, and I think team building. These are things that you are going to use with hard skills to be able to move forward and become successful in your career. Otherwise, you might have all the expertise. If you lack problem-solving attributes, if you are not able to work in a team, you are unlikely going to go far. You need to find time to do things like in your area of interest. Follow new articles so that you can see how that resonates with your idea of research or your next research question. See how well you can win grants and put your manuscript together. People may come to you from time to time asking you to join one group or the other. Before you say yes or no, you need to know if this will further your career. If it's not going to add value to what you have, you don't have to join it. You must be flexible. You must welcome criticism. If you are not able to wait for people to help criticize your work so that it can be improved, you are unlikely going to move far. And then you need to build collaborative relationship. This is very, very important. Of course, you must have good focus so that you don't do just anything that comes. You have to have a focus on your research activities. You need what we call individual personal development plan. As an academician, you have to have a goal and vision of what you want to be, what you want to do, and what your contributions to science will be. Therefore, you have to look at it on a yearly basis. How many trainings do I want to attend? Which training do I really want to attend? Which one will advance the course of my career further? You have to set goals for yourself. How many manuscripts are you likely going to write? Proposal attempts in terms of grants. How many of such proposals do I want to write as an individual? How many of such do I hope to get as a successful grant? You have to decide whether you yourself want to mentor somebody or you want to seek a mentor in the year. These are things that will necessarily add on to your effort to make you a successful academician. Conference and workshop attendance, and then of course, collaboration and networking. These are areas that these days you needed them to be able to become a successful academic person. In all of this, there has to be what they call work-life balance. It's been shown, as I'll be showing you in the next few slides, that academicians work too much, that they forget to balance other things. You have to understand what your strengths are, and you have to ensure that you keep your network alive. You have to prioritize your time, because as you are becoming successful, you are going to be getting so many approaches from colleagues and others. Come and join us in this. We want you to do this. We want you to do that. You must be able to determine which one you want to do. Don't do everything, especially if you're not going to advance the course of your career. You have to set work hours and ensure that you stick to it. A lot of people are running between trying to make, what is it called? When you have to meet up with deadlines. If you take too much of work for yourself, that is what happens, okay? Do what you love best, and don't forget to take a holiday or take a break, all right? So I'm going to show you this work-life balance survey 2018, which has confirmed that long hours take their toll on academics. Now, the first graph asks this question: to what extent do you feel that your work has a negative effect on your mental health? And it's looking at academician male in blue, females in red, and other professionals. And if you look very closely, the last two bar chart to your right side shows a reasonable amount. That is, my work has negative effect on my mental health. And the last one say a lot. And you can see that for the academicians, that is significant somehow. Now the one below it asks the question: when you are away from work, how often do you feel able to completely switch off from it? Again, if you look at the last two, only those who are professionals are able to switch off almost completely. The rest, the academicians, whether male or female, it's been impossible. Even though they are on holiday, it's been difficult for them to switch off. And then this other one, how many hours per week do you typically work? The last two, 10 hours and greater than 10 hours. Blue, academician, and red, professionals. The academicians are working so much more than 10 hours, okay? And then how many hours do you typically work at weekend? Every time, even in holiday, we are still working. This is what this is trying to show, that we need a work-life balance so that we don't just overwork ourselves to avoid burnt out. So for you to be able to do better, you need time management. You need a master timetable with all your regular commitments. Give time for your lectures, your tutorials, time for labs. Create everything. Don't forget sports, for relaxation. Africans are very religious people. Whatever that means, you have to leave time for it. They say religion is the opium of the people. It keeps life going. You have to find time for family and friends. Many of us are so involved in our career that we don't even have time for socials. We must plan ahead. And where we are going to be weighed down by a lot of requests, we should delegate and outsource some of these activities. You need a to-do list. A to-do list on a day-to-day basis may also help. So you can decide what I'm going to do today. It also provides you an opportunity to know whether after the end of a day, you have accomplished all these tasks that you have set for yourself. You need to reflect on the progress you have made on each day because it keeps you focused. If you have tasks that are too big for you, you have to break them down and prioritize, okay? Take the most important first as it comes. If you do today, You have to, before you leave, try to find out and plan for tomorrow. Again, walk through the list of what you need to do so that you can plan. And as you are doing them successfully, you can cross them out. That will encourage you to show that you are making progress on a daily basis. If you're able to do that, then, like I said, you need to have a multidisciplinary approach to your work. Oftentimes, if you work alone, you may not see as far as you wish to see. It's often said that if you want to work fast, you can work alone. But if you want to work far, you work with others. That is what a multidisciplinary team approach provides for you. For someone, for many people coming together to work, people come with different expertise. And so you can think outside the box. If it's only one person, you may get hooked up within the box. I may not be able to think outside the box as such. It's like people seeing the elephant in the dark room and everybody is touching different parts of it. And they are coming with different pronouncements. That is the way a multidisciplinary team approach sees things. And then you begin to put them together and eventually it will form the solutions that you require. Again, each members of the multidisciplinary approach are important. That must be said within the team because to combine the collective expertise provide significant synergy for what you want to do. Now, before you move forward, it is advisable that you have a memorandum of understanding or what they call teaming agreement that you want to work together. It's more like a paralegal framework that can guide that association. It should provide rationale for the work to be done, a summary of work plan, the contribution of individual members, the agreement on publication, if possible, talk about authorship and patency, because these are the sore points when people work together. And then you need a confidentiality agreement in case you are disclosing something confidential to your group, so that none of the members of the group releases that to others. These are some of the ways you can put the team together. It's also suggested that the team should start with a manageable number. And then when the team is becoming successful, you can then expand. But if you go and start with a big team, you might just find out that you cannot manage it. And before you know it, it crumbles. And then you have a wrong notion that it is not moving. Some impediments to successful multidisciplinary team, if there is lack of trust, we have to ensure that we build trust. We must have openness in whatever we are doing, and we must talk together because limited communication provides opportunity for grapevine, and grapevine will always cause problem. All right? And then we shouldn't be selfish, especially when something significant is going to come out, either in terms of discovery or innovation, and only one person is trying to reap that gain without bringing others along. These are things that may make the team to fail. This slide, I think, gotten from Nathan Hall, who had asked a question: if you have to tell younger academics one thing that you have learned as a senior academic, what are you going to tell them? And I saw quite a number of responses. I just brought out a few to show you that whatever you are experiencing now as a younger academic, those who are senior have also gone through that part. And so you shouldn't see them as a problem that cannot be solved. So to that question, somebody says it's never perfect. So just submit the damn thing already. You have a deadline to submit a proposal. You continue to review it, you will continue to find something to change. So rather than allow the deadline to go, it says submit it. In most cases, it doesn't pass the first time. So you have to get used to that. You have to nurture it and build that experience. And once you get it and you get it right, and the right political environment exists, you will win the grant. Again, you can say no sometimes when an opportunity or a new project comes along. You don't have to take all projects. You don't have to be part of everything unless you see that this will further the development of your career. If it's not, then there is no point. It says choose wisely who you want to work with, what work you want to work on that will help you achieve better balance and help you maintain your focus. And it says trust your instincts. These are experiences from people. The other one says don't judge your success by other standards. Decide what your strengths and goals are and use that as your own measure. Because if you keep looking at the other person and you are using that to judge yourself, you may in fact be misjudging yourself. That's what this person is saying. And then the second person says, say no to doing anything that won't further your careers. If it's not going to further your career, no matter how attractive it is, you don't need to bother about that. Work office hours and enjoy life outside work. So that it's not all sleeping in the lab and trying to win the Nobel Prize. You need to have some little holiday, some rest to allow your brain to rest. And I think this last one says, you think the sexism you see is no big deal. You are wrong. So all sorts of things that people have experienced is what they have put into this response of the questions that Nathan Hall have asked. And I've just brought out these ones that I believe may appeal to your sense, as it were. So I want to start ending the talk by showing you people that have made significant contribution to my own career as young as I am. And some of them are my teachers at residency level, and I have worked with them during their research activities. So whatever knowledge of research that I had before getting to this stage was caught from some of them. Some are my age mates, but I saw them as people who are more experienced and better than me. So I learned from them. Some of these names you may have seen, some you may not have seen, but I bet that these are people who have made their marks when you talk about research and contributions to science. Now, my institution, to end it all, during the during this COVID pandemic, Nigerian Institute of Medical Research has made some significant contribution to the control of the pandemic. Last year, before COVID came, we had developed by the young lady you are seeing there in her lab, a DNA extraction kit, almost 100% locally manufactured, and has been used to extract DNA in a variety of things: bacteria, animal tissues, whole blood, dry blood, even formalin fixed embedded tissues, and it's been shown to be very effective in doing that. And many people are using it. This is from bench to bedside from us. And during this COVID pandemic, we did an RNA extraction kit, which has also been validated, and it compares very well with all the RNA extraction kits that we have been using in our laboratories since COVID pandemic started. Perhaps what appears to be most important of our contributions to COVID-19 control is what we call SEMA, which is SARS-CoV-2 isothermal molecular assay, developed by Dr. Chika Nwama, using the T16 ISO instrument. This test is a nucleic acid test and can provide results in less than 40 minutes. This is one of our major contributions to COVID-19 pandemic control. This has been validated, it's been shown to be very useful. So rather than use a PCR, you use the T16 ISO instrument. The beauty of it is that it can be as a point of care. It can be taken to airports, for example, can be taken to the field, and hospitals can put it in a side room lab and use it. So all they need to acquire is the T16 ISO instrument instead of the PCR machine, and then we provide them with the SIMA that they will use for it. And recently, or should I say next week, we are planning to launch another one called SCODA, which is SARS-CoV-2 detection assay, developed by Joseph Shaibu. This can work with PCR and has, I think, 2 genes, the N gene and the ORF gene, and it works very well. It's been validated by 3 other laboratories, including NCDC laboratories, but we're going to launch that next week, so you might be hearing about it. We have also in the past, through these guys here, Dr. Orok and Mr. Shovo, who have developed hemoglobin genotype machine. Works well against gold standard. We've tested it, and we believe this can be deployed to many of our primary care centers in an attempt to control and reduce the burden of sickle cell anemia in our environment. And Mr. Olufemi Amo here, together with CC Hub, a digital outfit, developed this app called NIMCure, used for direct observed therapy for people who are taking treatment for tuberculosis. And for many of them who may not want to go to the center, with this app, we can actually monitor as they take the drug at home while the nurse at the DOT center watches and confirm if the patient has taken the drug or not. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, in the last few minutes, I have tried to take you through the challenges of research in Africa, the way for a bioinformatician to become a successful academic bioinformatician, and of course, the challenges that we need and the solutions to some of these challenges that we face. I believe that the tips that are provided, even though many of them may not be new, it may be that you have not paid significant attention to them. I think this is an opportunity for you to do that. Once again, I thank you very much for the opportunity to talk to you on this. Over.
Thank you, sir, for that wonderful, impactful, and insightful presentation. You are an erudite scholar, and we are always proud of you. The presentation went fine, and I believe that all of us are. Now we have time to take, and we have only 3 questions from the chat here. And one of the questions is that, Prof. Hello, sir. Are you hearing me, sir?
Yes, I'm hearing you.
Okay, sir. Somebody asked that, what does it take to be a bioinformatician? And what are the skills needed to be a bioinformatician, from the chat box? And someone is asking, how can they get those kits? How can they get those kits?
Okay.
So that they are seeing it as a source of income or revenue for them. So far, they didn't have a job. How can they be selling it and get it from your hand? So I think those are the 2 major things we have now, for now.
Well, I think through my presentation, I did mention what skills that are required and what degrees you need to earn and your background for you to become a bioinformatician. And much more importantly, I spoke about the three types that does exist. It may be at the undergraduate level where all you need is use some of the data that have been provided from genomics using your bioinformatics experience to analyze this data. Especially they are large data, and therefore you require the knowledge of statistics, knowledge of ICT, and computational biology. These are the things I believe you need. Now, these skills cannot be developed in one day. So you have to continue to learn from others. And bioinformatics itself is relatively a new field when you look at many fields of medicine. So it's still growing. And there is a lot of opportunities in this, especially now that bigger laboratories have started biorepositories, keeping samples and data for future use. So this is an area where bioinformaticians who doesn't want to be an academic can work. I will leave Shegun to add on to that if there are further skills that they have that is required. Then, of course, an engineer, which bioinformatics engineer who develop mostly tools for others to use. So it depends on which side of it your interests are. But you can have a general knowledge at the level of master's, at the level of first degree and master's. By the time you become PhD, efforts and vision are usually in academics, so that you can use that opportunity to analyze big data that are coming from genomics, and then designing things like, especially if you have sequence of a particular organism, it provides you an opportunity to develop bioinformatics, designing, for example, if you are looking for a spike protein of COVID-19, and to produce, is it primers and probes that you need to be able to extract that part of the virus if you are thinking of vaccine, or to be able to use that part and see whether it could become a diagnostic target for you if you work in a laboratory, and sometimes whether it could be a drug target for drug development. So bioinformatics is really a big field, and it's very, very useful in moving science forward, especially genomic science, in these areas that I've mentioned. Shegun.
Thank you, Prof. Thank you very much, sir, for that very powerful presentation today. There are so many questions. I know I cannot answer them. I'm going to still take some of them back to you. But what I will try to do in the next 1 or 2 minutes is to read the questions, and I will assign some of them to you, Prof. There are some of them that I can assign to maybe some other people here on the call from the NBGN. I'll just start reading all the questions. So if I call your name, just see if you can answer the question. And Prof will answer many of them. And number one said that any available institution here in Nigeria, one can acquire an internship training in bioinformatics. So that question, I can answer that question. I'm going to answer it at the appropriate time. And number two is say, how can someone interested in driving deep into genomics and bioinformatics access mentorship for this part? How will NBGN assist with mentorship for starter? I'm going to take that to Dr. Kolawole because it's going to NBGN. So how can NBGN help with mentorship? Somebody was asking about what software language do I have to learn to be a bioinformatics engineer? I think Prof addressed this question. We have a recording that is going on right now. It's also live on YouTube. After now, I think the organizer of this program can send you the recorded version, and you can listen again to how you can become a bioinformatics engineer. There's a question that is asking about, one of my lecturers advised me to take an MSc in bioinformatics, but I've been searching for institutions where I can study. I can see Dr. Itunu on the call from Covenant University. Can you advise on where they can do MSc bioinformatics in Nigeria? There's a question here, or Dr. Marion, if Dr. Itunu is not on the call. There's a question here saying that how can I participate in research as a junior resident doctor in ONG with no master? Prof, this one is going back to you. As a junior doctor, how can I participate without master degree? There's a question also saying that I'm much interested in a bioinformatics career field. How can I make it at a PhD level, having a molecular biology background? Prof, this one also is going back to you. They have molecular.
I got that well.
Sir?
That last question, please.
The last question is talking about how can they participate in research as a junior resident doctor in ONG. The next one is how can they are interested in bioinformatics career fields and they have a background in molecular biology. So how can they go ahead with a PhD? So those two will go back to Prof. Next one also is any available institution here in Nigeria, one can acquire internship training in bioinformatics. I'm going to take that question again about internship. And the last one is talking about my academic background is in biochemistry. I have deep interest in building a career in bioinformatics. I've received quite a number of rejection for PhD opportunity. Please, sir, what can increase my chances? Yeah, this is going back again to Prof. I'm very happy that Prof talk about rejection, and it's part of academic that we know. Most of us got to know that later in our career, but it's good that so many people that are just starting their career on this call, and you know that rejection is part of career. So those three questions go back to you, Prof. After you are done with your own feedback to the question, I will try to answer the question on internship, and the caller will answer the question that I've assigned to him, and Itunu will answer a question about the degree in Nigeria. Over to you, Prof.
Well, thank you very much, Shegun. I hope I got all the questions right. Now, the resident doctor who wants to do research, he doesn't have a master. My response will be this. You require, if you want to be a successful researcher, a doctor researcher, let me put it that way, or academic doctor, as some people will call it, it is good for you not just to have a master's, but to have a PhD. Because you are going to have better knowledge of your special area of interest. And you will be able to learn the language of research. Residency training, to me, is more professional. And because of that, the schools have added dissertation to it, which we do, that introduces us to research during residency program. I think it's becoming thick now in terms of the curriculum for research, as they now do research methodology and all of that. But I will still say, in spite of that, if you have the opportunity, you might need to do that. But if you ask me whether you can continue as a researcher, the answer is yes. You just need to learn a lot more than you know now. And you need to have a mentor that will be putting you through at different stages. I know some people may not agree with my submission, but that is my personal opinion. You want to be a successful academic doctor, I think you benefit from a PhD. Or if you don't want a PhD, you do an MD. These are all research degree as opposed to professional research, as it were. Now, molecular biology, most people who learn bioinformatics comes from that background or about chemistry, okay? many of them, what they do is very close to what the bioinformaticians do. So you just need to probably take a master's and then a PhD to improve your opportunity. Otherwise, if what you have is a PhD in molecular biology, you can learn from bioinformaticians around you if you wish to do that. If you don't want to take the course, you can learn from them. It's a matter of interest, because at that level, that means you are going to be looking for another PhD. I don't think you need that. I think you can just work with someone and pick up your knowledge. Now, someone who is looking for an opportunity and is being rejected. Again, some of these fields, people who are supervising young upcoming researchers there, their hands are full already. And so if you ask them and they are yet to get done with the people that they are supervising, they are unlikely to take you on. The other thing is that if they don't think that you have the interest, I don't know why they would think so, but if I'm going to be your supervisor, I have to be convinced all the way that if I take you on, you are not just going to hand it all along the line without completing it. So a lot of people are also bothered about the success of the candidate coming and the load of work that they have. But I think if you ask around very well, you will eventually find someone who may want to take you on. I don't know whether that is the basis of your question, but that is what I understand it to be. Chegun.
Thank you, Prof. I'm going to take it from where you stop. I think sometimes, because we have seen so many questions today about internship, sometimes it might be good if you are not able to get PhD to do like internship for 3 months or for 6 months. And that's a question that is assigned to me. There are opportunities for internship. One of the reasons why we established the Nigerian Bioinformatics and Genomics Network is because many people have personally come to me and they say to me, I want internship or I want mentorship. And so we organize this. But one of the things that most people don't know is many people that come to me just say, please mentor me. And that is a very difficult thing to do because we don't know what area that you want to be mentored. I'll give an example. I had a mentor about 2 years ago. I told them that I want you to mentor me only on how to write a fellowship. And this is the fellowship I want to apply for. So they mentored me in that area. They started with me with my CV. Not that I didn't know how to write CV, but because that's the only thing I want them. But if you just come and say, Prof, please mentor me, it's not clear what you want them to mentor you for. You have to be very clear about, okay, I want to do a PhD in this particular area. Maybe I want to do GWAS, or I want to do this, and I want some mentorship. That is one. Number two is that many people also have come to me for internship. They are not also clear about what they want. If you come to me for internship, I'll probably say no. The reason is because I know that you're not clear about what you want. But if you come to me and say, I want to work on this proposal for 3 to 6 months, and I want someone to supervise me. So the first thing I would say is that, can you send me that proposal? I'll look at the proposal. If it's something that interests me, I will say, yes, I can be your supervisor for 3 to 6 months for your internship and work together. But if your proposal does not interest me, there's nothing I have to gain. So I will just outrightly say no to you. Before you go to somebody, my advice is that you check what they are working on. Like Prof, for example, you have to look at the area Prof is working on and say, if you go to Prof and say, I want to work on maybe XYZ, I want to work on, let's say, I want to work on maybe malaria or something that does not interest him, he'll probably say no. But if you say, I want to work on maybe like kidney function and all that, he will say, okay, that is fine. So before you say that I'm rejected, I think it's fine to check with the person and say, this my research proposal, will it interest them? And this is what I want to do. And you discuss that with them. That will make them to be interested in what you are doing and all that. So I put a link here on this call for people that have been asking for internship. I have my own research group, and I do take internship. I don't take many people. I reject many people because I know that they're not clear about what they want. But if you're very clear about what you want, and we have a time frame, and we have an agreement of what you want to achieve in that 3 or 6 months, we can discuss that. But if you're not just clear, just say, just mentor me, or I want to internship, and you want me to give you a proposal, I will not be able to do that. And that's just my own research group. And there's so many other research groups all over that you can ask people for internship or mentorship. So just one or 2 minutes, caller, can you answer the question I assigned to you? And a question about where people can do MSc or PhD in Nigeria.
Well, I'll just talk shortly about what NBG stands for. And one of the things that you actually said earlier on is what someone is asking. Somebody is asking that if the membership is free. And I think Babatundi is ready to answer, but I also want to talk again here that the membership is free for now. You can join NBG, it's free. The link is on our website. You go there, Babatundi has sent a link on this platform for you to join. Then, under this NBG, there is a place for mentorship. You can be mentor. There are a lot of people there working on different projects. So from there, if you are a member there, you're the Telegram, you're the Facebook, you belong to the Twitter group, definitely you will see somebody to mentor you. Even in my own research group too, because I work on vaccine development now, and we have students that come around to join our group and they work on it. As at last time, we have like 50 students in our lab that come from different universities that we are. But the problem there is that there are limited skills, like Prof said, because the work is enormous. So in MBG is an umbrella that can capture your interest. We have different people working on different projects. We have some people working on plants, genomics in MBG. We have some working on HEMA, so human genome project. So once we are there in member, we have the grace and the ability to be mentored by someone. Having in mind that you be responsive and be a responsible student during the period of the internship.
Thank you very much. So, Dr. Tunu, you saw the call. Can you talk about a program in Nigeria that can do bioinformatics?
Yes, I'm on the call. Good afternoon, everyone. I think a few responses have come to that question, but I commented already and I said that Covenant University already recently started a master's degree program in bioinformatics. If you check on the chat, somebody has responded that University of Jos has a program for bioinformatics and genomics, FUTMINA, and University of Ibadan. I want to just explain briefly about what we do at Covenant. So initially, we had our bioinformatics program under computer science. So it was like an option under the computer science program. So you come into the computer science degree and then you take a project in bioinformatics. But now we have a full-fledged bioinformatics program, and we take students from different backgrounds. So currently we have students that have microbiology background, biotechnology, statistics, biochemistry, and then computer science. So what we do is you sort of have to take more courses. So if you're from a computer science background, you will take not even one, you take several audit courses from biochemistry, microbiology, and mathematics. And then if you have a biochemistry background, you have to audit courses. These are undergraduate courses. So you do audit courses from computer science, from mathematics, and then from biology. So that's how we run it for now. So we take programs that are all contributing to bioinformatics from your BSc, and then you come in to do MSc bioinformatics, and then we also have students also on the PhD bioinformatics program. So that will be my answer. But there are other universities also that are running this.
Thank you very much. Now over to you again, Tunu. Can you just do a vote of thanks, and we'll help us thank Prof very well for that very brilliant presentation today.
Yes, so thank you for asking me to take this task. Sir, on behalf of the NBGN, we would like to say a very big thank you to you, sir. We enjoyed the presentation and we saw experience come forth. It wasn't just something that you could pick on the road. Thank you for taking time from your very, very busy schedule. We are aware that you have been very busy over the few weeks, and we thank you so much for taking time out to share from your very rich experience with us today. And we hope that the next time we call on you, sir, you'll be willing to come again to speak with us. And thank you also for last year. Thank you for last year for hosting us at the first Bioinformatics conference. We enjoyed it. Thank you, sir. And we hope that you continue to support us anytime we call on you. And then I think I should also thank everyone that has been a part of this meeting today. Thank you, every one of you, for joining. Thank you for also asking questions and participating. So, thank you from me.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Prof. Thank you, everybody. So this is the end of today's program. So we thank you very much for joining, and we'll be in touch with you next time. If you have not joined NBGN, please join and ask your friends to join. Thank you, everybody. God bless. Thank you, Prof. Sir. God bless.
Thank you, Prof.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you very much.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you, sir.
Bye. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.